And I am back here on the Prophets of Geek Culture. This is review number 2, and I will be talking about the DCU or the DC Universe's sections of movies. As you know, this is my section. I'm not only covering comics, but I'm also covering the DCAU. So let's talk about a movie in the DC animated universe, the movie Hush. Now, this has gotten a lot of mixed reviews, but I just want to get out here and say this. I think this movie is great. Now, because it's a movie, it's taken liberties with the source material, and people got pissy and said, oh, Hush is one of the greatest comics ever told, and blah, 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 blah. Look, if I wanted to see the comic book, I would own, which I do, the Hush comic. It's great. I think, though, with the DC animated universe, they do a lot of good stuff with this material. So I'm going to give my pros, my cons, what I like, what I don't like, my rating system from 1 to 10 bats. 1 being a pile of trash that will go to Arkham, and 10 being so good, Batman himself would be proud. So let's break it down. Hush is the story of a villain who emerges in Gotham City, and he orchestrates the rest of the criminal underworld to sort of do his dirty work, and makes a grand plan to draw out the bat and finally kill him. And he seems to know who he is and the fact that he's Bruce Wayne. So this might be one of Batman's greatest villains, and a brilliant architect in the way that he designs and constructs and moves each individual villain. The side story is Batman and Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, get a relationship going, and some pretty big reveals. And remember, this is sort of in the world, or framed in an Elseworld type of story, which, if you guys don't know, they're kind of what if. This is not with the main set of movies, and every set of movies I'll say is part of the main storyline. So the DCAU has 2 subsets. It has its main plot, which is leading up to the return of Darkseid and the battle that is in Justice League Dark. And then it has subplots, which is like Gotham by Gaslight and things like that. But each story, even if it's an Elseworld tells, kind of goes to the whole. So it's kind of what the MCU did, only they did it better, sadly animated. And this story is specifically a take on Batman finally getting a relationship. And look, the pros is the animation is fantastic, the voice work is very good, and seeing all of the villains in one movie is awesome. You also get to see Superman for a moment. Nightwing plays a big role. Catwoman is in there. Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, Bane, all of the big heavy hitters are in one movie. Now, my cons are a short list, but this movie does suffer from a divergent storyline, which is Batman and Catwoman getting together. I like the what if scenario, but there's a few moments where it detracts from more interactions with Hush, and I don't feel like they utilize Hush or to the best of their ability. In retrospect, the graphic novel really was more highlighting how terrifying Hush was and how potentially dangerous he was to Batman. And when you get to the reveal, it doesn't have the same impact it did at the end of the comic book, because a lot of that was cut out, and I felt it was cut out for this whole Selina Kyle and Batman relationship. So that was kind of my gripes here. Overall, though, the tone of the movie was very good. The scenes with Nightwing were great. He was hilarious. There's a fucking hilarious moment where Bruce's son, Damian, and if you guys don't know, it's a son he had with with Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia. It's a whole big thing, but he talks about how his dad needs to use protection and all this, and he cuts off the communicator. It's hilarious. There's a lot of good moments. A lot of really good dialogue. Catwoman in this movie, even though their relationship was highlighted too much, I enjoyed watching her and Batman fight side by side against DC's greatest villains, and I thought they really complemented each other well in their fighting style. So overall, what do I think? I think this movie doesn't reach the heights of Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War. I think that it's slightly under that, but I don't think it's bad as it's intended, which is a side story, a what if story. So overall, I would give this a 8 out of 10 bats. It's got great animation, it's got great voice acting, it's got a lot of cameos. I just don't think that the story quite reaches the ambition that they had making it. It felt like a very ambitious project, and they hadn't quite gotten their stride for these side stories. So overall, it's not a bad movie. Go on, check it out. It's only an hour and like 20 minutes or so, so it's not that long. And the ending does have a really good twist. They at least kept who Hush was. I just wish they would have expanded more on him like they did in the graphic novel, rather than having him work in the shadows. And I felt like they highlighted more of the other villains we already knew instead of focusing more on Hush until you get to the ending. So the reveal felt big, but it lost some of its weight that it had because of the way they chose to use the character. But overall, it wasn't bad. I think it's good for an hour-long watch. I don't think you feel like you wasted time. And it does add one thing to the storyline. You get to see what it would be like with Bruce happy and in a relationship, which is really weird and kind of funny. Anyways, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to check out Mr. Cybernetic Husky, our favorite pups reviews. Mr. Stevie J, the most informative in the movie review eras. Mr. Perp Minded, the anime man himself. And the shit talker and random news finder, Mr. Pop Culture PB. Check out all of their videos. Check out my channel, General Zod's Fandom Zone, and watch my late night talks. And as always, you all out there, take care of yourselves and each other. I'm out.